And we are live. What about the gold sucker? What about the gold sucker? It's podcast day. I could have let that roll for another 25 minutes, probably 45, because the show runs about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm your boy Ben Goose, and welcome to the show this week. I felt like this past week, Sage, has been. I feel like we took a week off last week. We didn't, but I feel like we did. And it's not because a lot happened this past week by any means, but maybe I've just had a lot on my mind this past week. You know, I got the move going on in the personal life.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, maybe it's just a lot on the mind. But oh well, I digress. What's up, Sage? How you doing?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. All things considered, man. I did want to ask you, man, before we even start to get into the thick of things, man. Was Raquel Pennington's corner wrong for not calling her match sooner?
Let's get in, and it's going to lead into our next topic, which is a hot topic I wanted to get into about, or get into discussion. So that's tough. And let me tell you why. I went and watched the fight. I went and watched it with one of our special guests we have on the show, Amore. We had a crawfish bowl and we watched the fight.
Thanks for the invite, by the way.
Oh no, don't thank me. I didn't invite you. No, that's one of my favorite rebuttals is when people say, "Oh, thanks for the invite." So I didn't invite you. It was just I call it a spur of the moment thing. You know, when you have kids, the spontaneity thing is just done. The spontaneity invites. I just happened to pull a rabbit out the hat. I told Mrs. Goose and I said, "Yo, listen, shut your ass up and go in that bedroom." And then she responded, "What?" And I said, "No, hey, is it okay if I go out tonight? I'm just going to eat some crawfish, have a couple beers with the guys after I put the kids to bed and after we go to church." And she said, "Yeah, that's fine." So, and that's how it really goes down in the married life. But I think, man, that's a good question because I think fighters, if they're tired, just physically tired, not beat up, they may say, "Hey, you know what? I don't have anything left in me. I lost. I'm succeeding to the better person." Man, she took an ass whooping though.
Yeah,
like as a fighter, you start thinking about, you know what? Is my health really worth it if I've lost already and I've got to land a lucky shot? Is my health worth me landing a lucky shot? And the answer is no. If it's just fatigue, then you go out there and you muscle through that fatigue. But if you're facing potential injury with how swollen her face is, what did you think?
I thought they should have called a fight. I honestly did. You could just tell that Pennington was just overmatched. And we're talking, just context for those who don't know, we're talking about the UFC fight that happened over the weekend. But she was busted open already. She was bleeding. She could barely breathe. You know, it just seemed like she wasn't in a position of comfortability, in my opinion. And she knew that she was done. I mean, we knew before she even said that she was done, that she was done. And I think that when your corner doesn't recognize the obvious, you're putting your fighter at risk, and that's not good business. I mean, at that point, you're thinking about the money and not the welfare or the being or the health of your fighter, which should always be the corner's number one priority.
I agree. The card itself was, it was okay. I loved the. Did you see the Machida front kick on Belfort?
Man, isn't that the second time the Belfort's has gotten how do you say? Isn't the second time he got knocked out with that kick?
Yes, the first time was by fellow Brazilian Anderson Silva. Little funny fact is Brazilians, at least kind of in the past, they didn't like to fight each other because they felt like they were constantly fighting for their pride of their country. So Anderson Silva never wanted to fight Vitor Belfort. They ended up fighting. It was a championship match, and Vitor caught that super front kick from Anderson Silva. It's the fight where Silva was looking down on his feet, kept looking down at the feet. So Belfort thought, man, I know Silva's coming with that kick to my feet right now. He's coming with the leg kicks. And Silva looks down one more time at his legs and just pow, catches him in the face.
That wasn't the one where he did the trunks, right? The DBZ trunks one where he went.
Yes. After he won, I think that's the one where he did it. Where he
he did it before. Yeah, it might not have been Vitor who got it. But
no. That was I think that might have been the Forrest Griffin fight where he knocked him out walking backwards, where he was doing this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the Forrest Griffin thing where he stood in front of him and did it, and stepping backwards, he boom caught him with the right hook, dog. Yeah. He caught him with the right hook.
That's a bad man right there.
Anderson Silva, to me, greatest of all time. One of my favorite fighters to ever watch. So UFC has been in the news recently. Obviously, they sold themselves, last year for $4 billion. But UFC inked a new deal with ESPN. Did you hear about this? You hear about this?
I did not.
So the UFC, and this was, I think, about 2-3 weeks ago, actually. I meant to cover it on last week's episode. UFC inked a deal. Their Fox deal is up. UFC inked a deal with ESPN, and ESPN is going to start airing various UFC shows. I think they kind of preliminary announced some stuff. Some stuff will be on ESPN. Some stuff will be on pay-per-view and things like that. So Fox as a company, let's go back, a month or two back, Fox as a company has lost UFC, and then it's still in the process, but it's pretty much officially unofficial. They sold the Marvel assets back to Disney, right? I know you heard about that.
I did hear about that.
Yep. So now Disney owns pretty much everything Marvel. The Fox-owned properties, I think, were just X-Men, Fantastic Four, a couple of other things. But yep, Fox sold it all back. So Disney owns that. So there's a hole in what Fox owned. Their focus is sports and news. So now there's this gaping hole, and you have to sit here and wonder, what's the saving grace? What's the saving grace?
Goose. Before we hit into that, I also want to just add a couple more aspects to it, man. So Fox itself has actually been in the news this week as they actually let go of a couple of their key franchise TV shows. One being Brooklyn 911, which ended up getting
Brooklyn 99,
which ended up getting picked up by NBC, because I believe NBC owned the rights to it to begin with and then sold it to Fox. And the other one was Lucifer, which that one caught everybody by surprise, because it's a hit. The ratings are there, and everyone just got caught off guard with it. Hashtag save Lucifer, hashtag pick up Lucifer. So I'm wondering, with the UFC gone and with them clearing space with Lucifer and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which are Mondays and Tuesdays shows, I'm wondering, Goose, if this was not a bigger play for what's to come.
Are you referencing Empire? Because doesn't Empire come on Wednesdays?
And Empire comes on Wednesdays, yes.
So you're thinking they cut a Monday night show, they cut a Tuesday night show, they're gonna mark it out. They're gonna cut Empire, son. Empire's gonna be on NBC next week.
Nah, bro. I didn't say they cut an Empire, but what I'm saying is they freeing up Mondays and Tuesdays for this acquisition deal of Monday Night Raw and Tuesday Night SmackDown.
So the news broke today. We record this show, as you've heard in the past, on Thursday nights. The news did break today. Good segue, by the way. That was a good transition for us both, wasn't it?
I'm learning, man. I'm learning.
That was a good transition. So the news broke today. The word out there is, and this is big money, so these contracts take forever. NBC, Comcast, Universal / NBC, all same company, has told WWE through a contract out there, and they said, as we all know, JBL said it, on the WWE Network special. The WWE makes about $100 million from the USA deal. NBC owns USA to air, SmackDown and Raw. They make about $100 million, maybe a little bit more. The word out there as of today, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but the word out there as of today, it was announced this afternoon, and WWE stock rose 15% once Comcast Universal rumors went out there. So there's some truth to it, I think, especially if stock prices rise. And WWE is at an all-time high. That NBC told WWE, we are going to pay you 3 times your previous contract for. So we're talking $300 million a year.
Jesus.
To keep Raw on the USA Network. And I'm sure there's details in there about ad revenue, all that good stuff. But we're going to pay you $300 million a year. That's 3 times the original contract to keep WWE programming. But we just want Raw. You can take SmackDown and go market that somewhere else.
Wow.
So now Fox is going to approach WWE or vice versa, WWE. Basically, since WWE is just a licensed product and they can do whatever they want with it, WWE is now going to market themselves to Fox because Fox actually just signed a deal. Okay, remember, I just told you they lost to UFC. Fox landed a deal with Thursday night NFL football. So the money in getting NFL football versus UFC, you can't compare. That's apples and oranges. You're always going to get 15, 20 times more money in NFL football than you would in the UFC. Not to crap on the UFC. It's the NFL. So now Fox, like I said earlier, they're trying to build up their brand on sports and news. So they're going to go after SmackDown. So okay. SmackDown essentially would be on like Fox Sports 1 or something. So basically SmackDown, I think starting in 2019 officially, SmackDown is up. It's being shopped. And Fox is the front runner to get it. I think there's a couple of other things, other players out there like Amazon Prime, Hulu, Netflix, kind of the more digital areas. So I'm okay with that. Because, if NBC says we're going to pay you $300 million a year, we'll keep you on USA. Maybe we'll put you on NBC. I don't know. We're going to give you a ton of money. WWE obviously can't turn that down. But let me ask you this. I think it's great for the WWE if they have Raw on, say, USA every Monday night, 3 hours. And then Tuesday night on Fox Sports, they have SmackDown because you have 2 different companies competing to make a show better because they're going to be telling Vince McMahon, oh, make the show better, add this storyline, add this. You know what I mean? You have 2 same product, each show better because they want ratings and they want ad revenue. So I think it could be great business for the WWE. Do you agree?
I agree that the recipe is there, but my problem is the pay-per-views. I think that if they were to go with this model, the way that the pay-per-views were previously, having them separate would have been better from a competition standpoint. Whereas with them being together, like the whole goal for these televised shows is to get people to go and watch the pay-per-view that corresponds with the storyline. And I think that you suffer, like the TV stations are going to suffer from it because they're really promoting each other. But I mean, I don't know. Hopefully if they treat it separately, like 2 completely separate shows, I think that it's worthwhile, but I don't think the TV stations benefit from it. I think ultimately WWE's benefiting from it. And what up, Ringo Flake? Bodaz got some love, Ringo.
Yeah, Ringo. Thanks for joining. We haven't heard from you in a while. Ringo, we're going to talk about Bo Dallas in a second because he's on the newly formed B team. But back to the subject matter. WWE clearly owns the rights to their pay-per-view, quote-unquote pay-per-view product, which is the WWE Network, because even though they're owned by NBC now, their pay-per-view content is aired on the WWE Network. NBC and Fox don't care about the WWE Network and their pay-per-view content because NBC, Fox, Spike TV, all these companies that have shown WWE TV have never showed pay-per-views. They never have. They just want that prime time Monday, Tuesday night advertising revenue. So here's what I'm confused about. I don't know where this is going to go. So let's put me and you into the picture. Say you're on Raw, right? Say as of today, there's the brand split, and Ben Goosen goes to SmackDown, Sage goes to Raw, and you're fighting for the heavyweight title. Your career's going great since the split up of the IRWP tag team. You're doing amazing, doing these big things. Your family's fed. You got this big house, and then I go to SmackDown, and I'm running the show there. I'm like the AJ Styles of that show. I'm bringing in ratings. I'm having these great matches. Fast forward, 6-8 months to a year from now, this essentially means you're on NBC USA and I'm on Fox Sports 1. Vince, the brand split may come. And the brand split, the big storyline of the brand split is going to be, Ben Goosen is going to Raw. Man, I think he's going to challenge his IRWP friend Sage Mark for the title. But now Fox could say, wait a minute. Every time Ben Goosen is on SmackDown, the ratings go up and we charge more for ad revenue. Yeah, how about no? Ben Goosen stays on SmackDown. You could bring Sage Mark over here because every time he's on TV, ad revenue goes up. So how does that work when you have two shows, two different networks? How does the brand split? How does the roster shakeup work?
I mean, I would say, how would the cross promotion work in general? I don't think it would, because if I have two competing, it would be different if it was Sci-Fi and USA, right? Because they're owned by the same company. But you have Correct. Two companies that are completely separate, and I don't think that it would be in the best interest of the company. I would think that they would want to say something that if they were trying to drive traffic to another TV station, despite it being their own product. I think this is a lose-lose situation for SmackDown all the way through, man. And it's kind of sad because, SmackDown's the better show. I know that's my opinion, but it seems to be the better show. It gets more wave reviews than Raw does traditionally. And yeah, with the whole hour extra or hour less thing, but I don't see how SmackDown, I don't see how the superstars want to be on SmackDown. I would think they would be under the mindset that, hey, we're going to get paid a lot less because we're on the B show.
See, I think it's a win for SmackDown if you put it in that twist, because you have two networks and these networks want money. They want ad revenue and they want ratings. So now when you're on SmackDown, you have Fox behind you. You have two separate companies. Because to me, clearly NBC is saying, hey, we're going to pay you 3 times the contract to get rid of SmackDown because we don't give a shit about SmackDown. That's clearly what it is. You don't tell somebody we're going to pay you 3 times what we used to pay you, but you have to get rid of half of your show. You don't tell anybody that. Nobody would say that. That'd be like me saying, hey, Martin, your show is amazing. Tell you what, get rid of Gina and Tommy and we'll pay you 3 times more the worth. No! Hey, in Living Color, keep Jim Carrey, get rid of the Wayans, put them on a different network and we'll pay you 3 times the worth. No! You would say, we're going to pay you 3 times the worth and we're going to put the Wayans on Monday nights, Jim Carrey on Tuesday nights. You would, if you're going to pay somebody for something, you're going to keep all the rights. So it just shows me NBC doesn't give a shit about SmackDown. So now you have somebody, another multi-billion-dollar company who gives a shit about their product because they got to make their money on the contract that they've signed up. I think it could be really good for SmackDown. Now, in the Superstar split, it may suck because some people, Fox and NBC may say, no, I don't want to give it the Superstar. But hey, that's not a bad thing. As a wrestling fan, it's great because we're getting a ton of exposure.
Yeah, well, and Ringo makes a good point. He says that the NBA does it for every game in the playoffs. ESPN always shows the schedules for TNT and vice versa.
Great point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. My only counter argument to that is that this would be like the playoffs every day, every week, and it's one thing to do it for 80 nights. It's another thing to do it for 256 days out of the week. Actually, I mean, technically it would be more like 104 days out of the year. I don't see it happening. And I just worry that SmackDown is going to get they're going to get the Raw end of the deal.
They may call up a bunch of SmackDown stars. This may mean AJ Styles is officially going to Raw ASAP.
Yeah, and that's what I'm afraid of, man. The star power is all going to be concentrated on Raw. I mean, you're going to have to force it to be there. And this didn't work when SmackDown was on the Sci-Fi Network. And Fox isn't really a pro-friendly wrestling format traditionally. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm optimistic that it might work, but I just worry about SmackDown's health overall.
Yeah, no, so I could see that end. I think Fox owned Pop Network, I think. I'd have to do some research. That aired Impact, and we all saw how that went.
And they were there for like 2 months or so, but yeah, man, I think there is some validity of Fox either taking both or SmackDown only to this. I honestly think that the reason why they canceled 2 of their 3 hits and that they're forcing Gotham to have its final season this year. I think it's just, I honestly think it's just a ploy for them to free up cap space so that they can.
They're getting out of this. They're getting out of the entertainment business flat out. Like, it's clear, politics and news, and they're going to try to master that. News. Which is funny because they want to master politics and news, but all these people at Fox quit their jobs for. So it's like they're getting off to a rough start. So hopefully Fox, man. Yeah. Hopefully Fox, you pull it together, man. You got the tools to do it. Speaking of Raw on USA. What? Go ahead and say it. I know we're trying not to get too political.
I was just going to say, man, just yours to lose, bro. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. This isn't a political podcast. We're not going to get into all that. I'm not going to say Fox does this or NBC or whatever does that. I'm not a political show. Speaking of politics, though, this week, I feel like one of the things that I like is when the WWE goes to London, there's no politics. And it's not really Marks or just John Cena fans or just Roman Reigns fans. It's a crowd that's just there to enjoy and have a great time. And Raw and SmackDown this week were in England. Jolly old England. 5 days before the royal wedding. And I'm not going to lie, SmackDown was the better show, right? We could both agree on that.
It was the better show. And before you go into it a little bit more, I will say that the editing team was on point with the sound editing team was on point this week. And it's one of the reasons why I don't like watching it when they go to London, because it's heavily edited.
Define that for me. What happened? Why do you think?
All right. So a lot of the segments, especially around when Roman Reigns was getting booed, it didn't really come out very well on TV. Didn't sound as bad, but there are multiple reports of people actually being there that it was pretty much deafening. And that's, people from all areas of, people that were in the nosebleed sections, people that were in the mid sections, and people that were close to it. You can hear it with sound editing. Sound editing is kind of tricky. If you don't train your ear to it, you'll never really notice it. But there's usually a volume pitch up and down between commentary and the crowd. And if you pay attention to the levels, you can hear where they're editing out the sounds here and there. It kind of sounds as though it's like you're walking into, you're in a stadium and it's really, really loud. And then you walk outside and you have those two different volumes. If you just listen, that's exactly how it sounds when it's edited. When they try to edit it out, they do the best they can, but the crowd reaction was a lot worse than what they perceived it to be online. Or
yeah, you could you could pick it up on you could pick it up pretty well on the live. Well, I mean, I know there's like a 6-hour delay, but you could pick it up somewhat okay. I think the fans were there just to have a good time. They didn't try to steal the show or hijack the show.
No, not at all.
So, no, I thought it was for the most part, a pretty good show. I know the first match, Owens and Seth Rollins. What I liked about this match, it wasn't, no disrespect or shade to these dudes, but it wasn't as good as what they could do probably on a pay-per-view. But I liked that the finish was Rollins playing it smart in hitting the stomp. Kevin Owens is, coming into the ring from the outside, and he hits the stomp while he's between, I think, the first and second rope, second, third, or something like that. So I just love the finish, man. It just shows that, okay, well, the stomp could be hit from anywhere. Did you watch the Hulu cut this week? Or the Sling cut?
Yeah, that was on the Hulu cut itself, and I would agree with you. It's a very solid match. It was definitely probably the match of the night. I love the exchanges and the false finishes between the two, and I legit thought that Kevin Owens was going to win. So that's just testament on how good of a match they actually put on. I like the storyline between Kevin Owens and Kurt Angle. I think that's ultimately going to lead to maybe a Triple H Kurt Angle match at SummerSlam. I think that's where they're kind of going with that. But yeah, the stomp from anywhere, it's fine. I don't like the whole burn it down setup for it. I think it's kind of corny, but that's just me.
Well, it's kind of what wrestling is today. Maybe I don't know. It's just it's the setup to the finisher, and it's kind of like if I could have a chant, like think about it, the burn it down chant before is similar to HBK's when he would stomp before the chin music and the fans would stomp along with it or clap along with it. It's similar to Daniel Bryan's yes chants before Daniel Bryan's finish running knee. So it's kind of just, some wrestlers got it, some don't.
I don't like it though.
The hot.
I get what you're saying.
I don't either.
I don't like it. I don't think it's the right setup for it. I mean, the rest of them kind of go in tandem with each other. Even with Randy Orton, him doing the Viper strikes on the bottom. I mean, that seems to go with the RKO, but I just don't like it, man. I just don't like it. That's it, man. I just don't like it.
I could see that. I used to like it when HBK would do it after a really long, drawn-out match, and he's exhausted, and you could tell he's so exhausted he barely wants to do those stomps to warm up he's warming up the sweet chin music. I used to like it back then.
Bro, did you do you remember how Earthquake used to set up his splash?
Oh yeah, he would do the jumps around the person.
I loved it, bro.
The best ones. I have to find. I got to see if I can find this so I could post it. He would cause the earthquake around the person. My favorite ones is where he would jump and stomp, but he would go full 360 around the guy before running off the ropes. Because it would take like a good 30 seconds, 45 seconds for him to cause the little earthquake around the guy and then go off the ropes, man. John Tenton.
John Tanda.
You know who I thought was going to be a super heel team when Tugboat turned heel and he became Typhoon? I thought Earthquake and Typhoon were going to be the best tag team of all
disasters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought those guys were going to be. And I remember that song sucks so bad. It was just an earthquake background with a snare drum.
Yeah, it was, bro.
That was dumbass.
Dude, how sick of a stable would it have been for the Natural Disasters to be teamed up with Kona Crush, bro?
When Kona Crush, though, he was in Demolition at the time, right?
Yeah, it was in Demolition at the time. Nah, he would have been just in it. And then he turned into Crush and then Kona Crush, and then went into Crush after that. But yeah, man, that would have been sick, dude.
Oh man. That's a nice 80s, early 90s throwback.
Yeah.
I need to go back and watch some 80s and 90s throwback wrestling because I feel like those wrestlers sucked bad. But you paid attention to the character more than the wrestling back then.
Oh man, they had all the characters, man. All of the characters, man. They got you had Coco Beware, and the Bushwhackers, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yeah, those guys were terrible in the ring.
And that was the B Squad, bro.
Yeah, I guess those guys were all awful.
Yeah. Well, they're coming off the AWA days where it was just like straight wrestling with no entertainment, and then being slapped on with an actual gimmick that didn't last more than a year and a half. So,
yeah, those guys were. Yeah, again, today though the product gears towards more in ring, what you could do in ring.
Yeah,
that's why it is what it is today. The restaurant, I didn't get into Sami Zayn's heel promo, and I'm interested in seeing what he's going to do next week by calling out Bobby Lashley's three sisters. And
terrible, bro.
Oh yeah, it's going to be horrible. I don't think the Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley. I don't think it's going to get a huge pop. It'll, be maybe an open match on a pay-per-view or something. I'm looking forward to it.
As long as it doesn't come out with no buckets of chicken and watermelon, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, going the racial tone.
Yeah.
Buckets. Buckets starts with B. Let's get in the B team. The name of the show this week.
Yeah, you're gonna have to fill me in on all this because it was completely cut from Hulu, and my timeline was blowing up on the B team. So what's the deal with the B team, bro? What's going on with them? How'd that come to fruition?
So backstage, it was just started as a complete backstage segment. And it was Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas talking to Kurt Angle backstage, convincing them, surprisingly enough. So wait, first off, they met Kurt Angle backstage and they hyped up the Rousey versus Jax match. So they started off hyping it up. So they started off by saying, "Hey, Kurt, Miz is gone. We're a team, and we are the A team. What do you think about that?" And Angle goes, "No, you can't use that. That's an 80s TV show with Mr. T. You can't use that." So Bo Dallas goes, "How about, I got it. How about we call ourselves the B team?" And Angle starts cracking up. And he's like, "The B team?" And X was looking at Bo like, "Nah, I don't know about this name." And Bo goes, and he went into Bo leave mode. He goes, "No, because B stands for the best team. So let's call ourselves the B team because B team means best team." So Kurt Angle says, "You know what? You got a match against Breezango tonight, just whatever." And they went on and beat Breezango.
What?
Yeah. And they hit I don't remember what the finisher was, but they hit it was a tag team finisher too. But yeah, they picked up the W and the fans were chanting during the match.
Damn. I heard that Fandango was way over.
Typical London stuff, yeah. I mean, it's London, so. But yeah, rest of Raw was. I think the only other highlight I had from the rest of Raw was Braun Strowman is freaking internationally over.
Yeah.
The dude's super over.
I worry about the oversaturation to his character, man. I mean, they're obviously going with the Bobby Lashley feud with him, right? Like right after
With Sami Zayn, actually. Sami Zayn. Did they cut out of Hulu? Did they cut the Sami Zayn promo?
No, the promo's there, and I know that that's gonna happen. But we got 6 weeks, so I'm assuming that like within the next 6 weeks that we'll end up getting a loop where Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman get into it or something. I don't know. Maybe they say that for after Money in the Bank. Who knows?
Yeah. Sami Zayn's promo was great too, where he talked about Lashley wanting to be him and stealing his hat. And the Braun Strowman tackle was great. Raw was okay. It went terrible. So, I don't know if this was on the Hulu cut, but Wyatt and Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy defeated the Revival.
No,
clean. Yeah, they beat him clean. So what the hell's going on? Before we get into SmackDown, what's going on? And by the way, Alexa Bliss qualified for the Money in the Bank. It was an okay match. What the hell is going on with the Revival?
I have no clue, because it's funny that you say that, because they were in OKC, I think, last night, and they fought in NXT. So I don't know what's going on with them, man. I don't know if they just don't have anything for them, or maybe they're. I'm telling you, man. I think that this whole bringing the brand splits together, it's nerfing. This is what I was worried about. It's nerfing half of the roster, because you can only create storylines that mean something for like 8 people instead of like 12 or 13 people, tag teams included. This is the second week that we haven't even. I mean, this is the third week we haven't seen AOP. This is the second week that we haven't seen what's his name? The Bludgeon Brothers fight on TV. I mean, and I'm sure I'm missing other people. Sanity was supposed to be this week, and they didn't show up.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, this whole pay-per-view thing is not. It's where this is the first pay-per-view in, and we're already seeing the repercussions of not having things separated. I don't know, man. It was supposed to be better, but I don't think so. Hopefully by coming up, hopefully they'll get a jump start after Money in the Bank going into SummerSlam. I know there's a pay-per-view or two in between, but I'm just being optimistic for them. I did want to touch base before we get into SmackDown. I did want to cover the big news that happened on the women's division, and also the Money in the Bank. I wanted to kind of speculate where you think at this point in time that the Money in the Bank for the women's division is going to go. I know that we have like 1 or 2 people that are not qualified, that haven't qualified. It's going to be on the SmackDown side. I think we can both safely say it'd probably be Becky Lynch in there. But Ronda Rousey, she and Nia Jax are having a match at Money in the Bank. Too soon, Goose?
By far, way too soon. However, I read yesterday that Ronda Rousey said she wants to start having kids in the next year or 2. So maybe that has to play into it. But far, way too soon. What do you think?
So I think it'd be way too soon if they actually intend to put the belt on her, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Before I speculate what I think is going to happen, how do you see the Money in the Bank going? Just off of everyone that we have from the women's division, How do you think it's going to go?
After this week, I hope Alexa Bliss wins. But she doesn't need it. Oh, that's tough. I think in the women's division, it works well if it's a heel. So maybe, I don't know how it's going to end up, who's all going to be in it, but maybe if like a Billie Kay or Peyton Royce wins it.
They're not qualified. They both lost their qualifying matches.
That's right. I hope it's not Ember Moon. I mean, it's Ember Moon, Asuka, Bailey.
Asuka's not going to be in the Money in the Bank because she has a match with Carmella at Money in the Bank for the title.
Okay, wait. So in the Money in the Bank match so far, we have Ember Moon.
Yep.
Charlotte.
Yep.
Bailey.
Yep.
Next week, she's fighting Peyton Royce. I think it's Peyton Royce.
Billie Kay.
Billie Kay for a shot. And who from SmackDown's in it besides Becky Lynch?
I don't know, but
Ruby,
I think Naomi has a qualifying match as well. So all the Raw people are done. But let's just assume that the last two people are going to be Becky Lynch and Peyton Royce in it. Who do you have coming out on top?
I have no idea.
Because
they're so far not as good. They're so far they're so far away from the women's championship talent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we've also been singing Carmella's praises lately, so
yeah, I know, and I agree. So I have this sneaking suspicion that the reason why they announced Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey and Charlotte was there, I think Charlotte is going to get the Money in the Bank and she's going to cash it in with a natural selection on Ronda Rousey, setting up that feud. So through SummerSlam and Survivor Series with the Horsewomen and all that stuff. I think that's how they're going to jumpstart the play. We can all probably universally agree that Charlotte is not doing any benefits for SmackDown whatsoever. She's better on Raw. And with Ronda there, it only makes sense to have her in that storyline. So I've got this funny feeling, man, that's the play. That's what they're going to do. I think that Becky should have it ultimately, but I think that they're going to make Charlotte have it and cash it in on Ronda.
That's a good storyline, especially if Ronda wants to start having kids in a year, then you could kind of fast track the Charlotte Ronda Rousey story. Yeah, it's a good point. I'd love to see how it turns out because Ronda Rousey has turned out to not be bad in the ring after what we saw at WrestleMania. She's not terrible at all. She was able to tell a story in the ring.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I do hope Lana wins it somewhat and Rusev wins it.
That would be awesome.
So Rusev Day this week, good Lord. That guy is so over. It's insane. And off of something so silly, you know what I mean?
But they don't hear him, though.
No, hear him, though. I actually just watched SmackDown today. I love seeing the debut of Andrade Cien Almas. That was awesome. El Idolo.
Best believe your boy was mocking out when his boy and La Muñeca came through. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go.
I didn't understand when they were like, all right. Andrade Cien's fighting somebody from London, England, the token local jobber, but the dude's name was Jake Constantino.
Yes, I was saying the same thing.
Did you notice that?
I was like, is he Hispanic or Italian? Because Constantino ain't English, man.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, that has nothing to do with London. They should have just given him like the total most English name. But yeah, Andrade picked up the win. They cut some mic skills afterwards. That's when they went backstage into the seeing Lana with the Rusev Day shirt. The rest of SmackDown. So I'm not gonna lie, the main event, AJ Styles versus Nakamura, to pick the stipulation. Now we don't know the stipulation, but I think I would guess, and I think it's what we all want. I think it might be an Iron Man match.
I agree.
I mean, because ultimately this story started at WrestleMania. If the ending is an Iron Man match, and then we get the true, no gimmick, no storylines, just a true match between the two for an hour, oh, it could be amazing, regardless of the winner.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's where they're going for. I'm surprised this is going to culminate at Money in the Bank. I would think that they were. I know it's kind of a stretch, but I was thinking that they were going to drag this thing on to SummerSlam. But I'm glad that it'll finally end at Money in the Bank. Iron Man match has got to be the right match. I mean, just considering everything that's happened with the low blows, you know, and the low blows and the low blows. I think this is the best match for it. Don't put him in a cage. Cage doesn't make sense to the storyline whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think, but it's one of those things where if you put him on at SummerSlam, and this is why I'm okay with it being at Money in the Bank. If we put the match on at SummerSlam, there's going to be so many other matches. Brock Lesnar's obviously going to be at SummerSlam. There's going to be so many other matches that. Yeah, exactly. This Iron Man match wouldn't be the main event because that's how it goes. But there's going to be so many other matches that night that, you know, this one maybe gets overshadowed a little bit. But if you put an Iron Man match on a Money in the Bank, you are for sure going to say, all right, wait a minute. I got to watch the 2 Money in the Bank matches because they're ladder matches and they're crazy. You know, I better watch this Iron Man match. And on top of that, I'm going to watch this Iron Man match that's probably going to main event the show. And shit, there might be a cash in that same night. Man, F this. I need to watch this show.
Yeah, if Joe somehow inks the Money in the Bank, it's going to definitely be a cash in that same night. Joe's not the kind of guy who's going to keep it laying around. And it would only make sense. Both guys are tired, and Joe is an opportunist. So why not cash in when you least expect it?
And he'd have to cash in, obviously, on AJ Styles.
On AJ, right? Yeah, he's got to cash in on AJ because then you risk the chance of turning Nakamura face, and that's not what we want right now. So that's definitely a good point, man. Speaking of great matches, I thought the match with the New Day versus the Bar was amazing. Not gonna lie, but it looks like they're going to try to break up the New Day.
It sure seems that way soon. I mean, they've had a solid run, so we'll see. I think that I like the idea of the New Day, especially Xavier Woods, winning some matches recently. And if you notice, when he won the match for the qualifier, was that a qualifier match or was that just a match?
Yeah, that's a qualifier match.
It was the New Day that won. So technically, the New Day, all 3 of them are in the match.
No, so
the stipulation was right.
The stipulation was that whatever team won, they get to pick one person to represent them in the Money in the Bank match.
I see.
So next week is probably going to be the week where they start to pick who it is. And I foresee this being a storyline up until Money in the Bank on who should be the one to be in the Money in the Bank. So I think that's what's going to ultimately lead to the split itself. But no, we'll see. Kind of scared because I don't know what that's going to look like. All 3 of them were floundering before they came together. And I'm just kind of afraid, man. I know that all good things have to come to an end. I didn't like it when the Horsemen broke up. I'm not sure I'm gonna like this either. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
So what else outside of Raw and SmackDown do we have this week?
Oh,
We definitely started off on a hot topic.
yeah. Maybe we end up on one too, man. As you may, I don't know if you heard or not, but your boy Eric Arden got the nod from the attorney's office that he is cleared of all charges due to lack of sufficient evidence.
Eric Harden, who's that?
You may know him as the Skywalker Mesh Talker. I don't know the rest of his thing. The SAWFT guy.
No,
Yeah,
really?
man. Yeah. News broke yesterday. Believe he posted a statement from his attorney onto his
Get
Twitter
out of here!
account.
Really?
Yeah, and so the speculation is because it was dismissed with no charges due to lack of evidence, people are automatically assuming that he is innocent. And I hate using that word, man, because just because you're dismissed of all charges doesn't necessarily mean that you're innocent. It just means that lack of evidence to prove one way or the other. And I mean, that's just going to be my position on it, man. It's kind of disheartening to see so many people just flat out attack the other party one way or the other.
So would you bring him back to? Would you bring him back to the WWE immediately, especially in the cruiserweight division?
No, because you didn't do it to. You didn't do it to Rich Swann. So why would you do it to? Why would you do it to him, especially with the fact that he's catered more to the kids? I think it's a bit more sensitive. Huh?
He lied. I mean, in WWE, if you get arrested or you get charged for something, you're supposed to tell him. And hey, he didn't. But Rich Swann's case, which
It's
by the way,
dismissed.
he's on Impact.
It's the same circumstances. It both Rich Swann and Enzo, both of their cases ended the same exact way. They were both dismissed due to lack of evidence. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're innocent. It just means that there wasn't sufficient evidence to sway them one way or the other.
So would you bring either one of them?
He's actually an Impact now, so he's actually on Impact now.
Yeah. Rich Swann went to TNA. So would you bring either one of them back?
Nope. I mean, not at this point. I think it's still too hot. Maybe let it fester or cool off 2 years, 2 or 3 years, and then strike that well. I mean, I'm not a fan of Enzo. Never have been, to be honest with you. I just think that there's more qualified and more entertaining guys on the roster, and we still haven't had Neville back, and Neville's kind of, I mean, Enzo's kind of the reason why Neville's not around. So, I think you should just wait. If they're seriously going to bring him back, yeah, you're gonna need to wait a couple of years, man. It's just like Hogan, man. I mean, he should be getting the same exact treatment as Hogan.
Oh, dude, that's tough, man. Dropping the M-bomb or being accused of rape.
They're both bad.
Well, Hogan's confirmed. Enzo's not. Hogan, we heard the tape. Enzo, there's no proof. He hooked up with a crazy girl. Maybe the case was dropped. Maybe she thought this, he thought that. Who knows? There's some ambiguity there. There's no ambiguity with Hogan. Hogan dropped the M-bomb.
So would you bring back Rich Swann?
So going off that same notion, there's no proof that he headlocked his wife. Outside of just some written notes or witness testimony, but the case got dropped, so I have to take it for that. So if I had to prioritize who I would take back first, Hogan, Swann, or Enzo? I'd have to put Hogan at the bottom of the list.
Are you serious?
I heard Hogan.
Come on, bruh. Look,
Reference
look, look. Let me put it
Austin.
this way, bruh. Let me put it this way, man. Let me just throw it into context with you, man. You mean to tell me that this guy says one thing in the private, mind you, it's in the privacy of his own home, doesn't know that he's being recorded, which is another issue that I have anyways. The privacy of his own home, relating to his daughter. I'm not condoning what he said, but you're telling me that him saying that carelessly means that he has a history of being a racist? Because that's what you're kind of saying.
No, Sage. The N word with the hard R is not in the standard person's vocabulary.
I agree.
Unless it's a joke. Unless it's if he said, man, these N bombs are doing this just like the Mexicans and the border and the Trump and this and Iranians and women, and like if he lumped it in and it was just a really bad, horribly told joke, I guess I can get it. But for you to say that to another person,
but he didn't say it to another. He didn't say it to a particular person. He just said it as a generalization. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not condoning what it was that he said. And that's not the argument here. What he said was completely bad. I totally agree that it's completely bad. It shouldn't be bared repeating. He's apologized profusely for saying it. But I'm just saying, out of his track record of publicly, like he doesn't really, in my opinion, distribute the behaviors of being a racist. Yes, so he said one comment, but he doesn't have a track record of being like that.
Right.
Yeah, being racist like that. I don't see how you can lump that in the same category as someone who is being accused of rape, who has had countless complaints about mistreatment of how he mistreats women, mostly verbally. Again, the accusations. I don't see how you can lump those two in the same category.
It's because I heard what Hulk Hogan said. And I'd understand if it was a bad joke. Like, people make and say offensive things, make racist jokes or say offensive things in private. But
heck, people do it while they're playing video games online and don't know that they're being recorded.
Oh my God. You have any idea how many times I've been called the N-bomb, the F-bomb? Just, I've been called, you name it. I've been called so many dirty names online. But I don't think Hogan has a place in wrestling anymore. I'm going on the record and saying it. If I met him, I would say, look, I don't believe you thought that about black people. But it's one of those obstacles, especially in today's world, where in the mainstream media, black dudes are going to Starbucks and getting called out for something they didn't do wrong. In the mainstream media,
that's completely different, man. We're talking about people being scared of each other versus someone saying something stupid in the private of their own home. I get what you're saying, man. I really do, man. But at some point, and I think this is one of the, not trying to get political or anything like that, but I think that's one of the problems that we have with our society now, is that we're so quick to condemn people for a mistake, even after the fact that they have repeatedly have apologized for it. But we still beat them down. At what point do we just say we forgive you and let's just move past this? I mean, you're going to condemn some. I mean, how many mistakes have you made in your entire life? You mean to tell me that when you tripped me when I was trying to go in the hallway to go to the restroom or go and get some Beano's tacos, that I should be holding that against you for the rest of your life? No, you made a mistake. You owned up to it. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Hogan's apologized head to toe. So who are we to say apology unaccepted? Now, if he came out, well, see, but that's my thing. Is me being a part Indian man. He may make fun of us and our IT capabilities.
You're stupid.
No, I'm just playing. All right,
we gotta forgive, man. Love. What do we preach every week, man? Love one another, man.
You're right.
We make mistakes, man. People make mistakes all the time. It takes a bigger person to forgive that person and move on. I don't see what the big deal is that we can't forgive people and move on. That's all I'm saying.
You're right. And I was thinking of it from the business aspect, how difficult it would be to make him come back from it. But you know what, Hogan, I would forgive him, change my mind. I would forgive him after talking to you. I'd forgive him. And then, if he was just a big pile of shit that was just, saying I'm sorry for his own ego and his own wallet, then, man, hope for the best for the dude. But yeah, you're right, Sage. So I would definitely, it'd be a tough storyline to tell. Just like with Enzo, it'd be a really tough storyline to tell. But I digress. What else? Should we get into our shout-outs this week?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty much all the topics that I had. So while we're
we had a hell of a show this week. Great show this week.
Queuing that up. Just want to give you guys a reminder that the contest is still going on for the War Games folding chair, authentic War Games folding chair. All you got to do is become a Patreon. Visit our Patreon at www.patreon.com/IRWP. So let's go ahead and get into them shout outs, man. You got that King music? What are we doing this week?
I had a theme when we go with the shout outs. Because you kicked it with the what'd you hit us with the other week? I think 2 or 3 weeks ago.
The Rastafari, you hit us with the accent. Yeah. Oh, that's silky smooth, man.
Yeah, it is. Silky Mel Johnson smooth.
Yeah, man.
So let's get into shout-outs this week. Compliments.
Yeah. That's what we do. First and foremost, thank you for everyone who joined us today. And by that, I mean, I forgot his damn screen name, bro.
Ringo Flake.
Ringo Flake. Yeah, Ringo. Thanks, Ringo, for showing up, man. We greatly appreciate it, man. Y'all go check him out, Ringo Flake, on YouTube. He's got a lot of videos, and by a lot, I mean 0. So y'all go show him some love. 5 Meat Comics, Christina Hernandez, Chris Peep Show. Thanks so much for following us. We've got Cafe Con Leche Nerds at Comic Con Revolution. Thank you so much. Burt Macklin, thank you so much for showing some love. He actually had some interesting conversations going on about Rich Swann joining the Impact. So that's great there, man. See, Goddamn Mondays, thanks so much for following us. Had a lot of love from the ladies this week, man. Timothy Guy, James H. Hill or Williams, RJ, get these names here. RJ at RJ Kruzinski. That's KRUSZNSKI. RJ_Kruzinski. I'll go check him out. Got Tapped Out Wrestling. We got Aqua Roman, Broken but Glorious, Ryan Palmer, Fit for Life, Manos Rhapsodos, Elijah McGuire, Spencer Love, Wrestling Fanatic, The Wrestle Hub, Spencer Love, jeez, Steven Stafford, showing us love. Appreciate that. We got Evil Eddie. We've got B, and that's B at B1AK6M. Don't know what that stands for, but he's a fan of Kakarot, so he's good by me. We've got Thabius Mofo King showing us some love. I don't know Japanese, unfortunately, but y'all go follow at Lux_ AETERNA_69. I believe he's a professional wrestler, if I'm not mistaken, but y'all go check him out if I'm wrong. John C., thank you so much. He's actually from our London crowd who actually was there at the live event, told us about the whole crowd reaction things. Thank you so much for the insight there, buddy, and thanks for following us. We've got Eric the King, Melissa Sullivan, Luis Rogers, Teresa Colton, Allie. Like I said, man, ladies showing us love. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining the podcast. We've got M. And last but not least, we have a newcomer, We Want Wrestling, hashtag at We Want Wrestling, WRASSLIN. So thank you so much for following, subscribing. Y'all can hit us up at Real WrestleCast on Twitter. It's Real Wrestling on Instagram. Patreon, show us love at Patreon. Patreon.com/IRWP. And if you guys haven't seen that already, you guys need to go on YouTube Red. We're not getting paid by them, but you need to go on that YouTube Red. Watch that Cobra Kai. That Cobra Kai is amazing. Your boy's coming out with some reviews coming up shortly. So y'all make sure to look forward to that. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube for It's Real Wrestling Podcast. Goose, that's all I got to say.
Goose, take him away, Goose. Take him away, Goose. Everybody, Sage gave you all the credentials, so I pretty much don't have to give you anything, except for the Twitter handle. Hit us up at Real WrestleCast on Twitter. If you go on Twitter and type in It's Real Wrestling Podcast, you'll easily find us, so just hit us up at Real WrestleCast. We're easy to find. Hit us up. We do respond. Hit us up, wrestling-wise. Fox, NBC, WWE, what's going on? Or heck, even if you got a chance to check out Deadpool this weekend, let us know what you thought of it. Don't spoil it, but let us know what you thought of it. Tune in next week, same time, same channel. We do the live show every Thursday night on YouTube. Type in It's Real Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, and you'll easily find us, and you could join in on the live show. For the most part, it's unedited. We don't edit too much out of the podcast show. Again, I'm your boy Ben Goose, and it's your boy Sage Mark. Keep it real.
Walking in the rain.
He was holding hands, and that's a good tune.
Never be the same.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Ben Goose, and the thoughts and opinions today expressed are that of the IRWP and not of the host. Again, hit us up on irwp.us. We're, again, not hard to find on YouTube. Hit us up on YouTube and on Twitter. Type in It's Real Wrestling Podcast at Real WrestleCast on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Hit us up anytime soon. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, and keep it real.